Hi everyone, this is Sabrina. Welcome to the S Factor Studio. I had quite a few inquiries about the crepe paper butterfly that I showed in my video for Sybil B's memory decks card and my project share for what I made for her. So this is not exactly a process video, but I'm going to go through how I made my crepe paper butterflies. I started with a rosette, so pretty much it's a rosette and this Big's die, the Tim Holtz what is this? The Tattered Butterfly Big's die. Rather than go through how I make my rosettes, I'm going to link a video where I showed how I make my rosettes in the description box, and I sew them together, but I'll link that video below. Instead, I'm going to talk a little bit about crepe paper. So these rosettes I had on hand because I had made a bunch of them, and I used this crepe paper, you know, just the streamers that you can find at your craft store, even at Dollar Tree. So I used this crepe paper. And I know that some people do not really care to put their rosettes through their Big Shot or whatever their cutting machine is because it flattens them. And it does flatten the rosette. However, when I'm using a basic shape like a heart or a scallop circle, I have no trouble, you know, fluffing them back up and separating the layers. Now for this particular crepe paper, that I use, I layered them I made 3 layers, so you know, it made it a little bit more substantial. However, I'm a little bit heavy-handed, and they do come out very pretty. This is one that I adhered already, and it's very delicate, and I love the look. The whole point is, for me, is the look of the crepe paper. I saw a video, and I'm going to link this video below as well, by Griffith, and she talked about the different types of crepe paper, and I thought it was awesome. So I purchased this heavy crepe paper, and this one is English Garden. This is by Griffith, I believe it says. It's Griffith heavy crepe paper. So with this crepe paper, the one that we find, you know, common, it's delicate. So it's a delicate crepe paper, and there's no stretch to it. With the heavy duty crepe paper, the feel is you can feel it. It's a heavy crepe paper, and not only that, look at the stretch on this. So I'm gonna come up and show you. It says 250% this particular paper, so do you see that? That is awesome. That is awesome. And the paper is so sturdy, and like I said, because I'm a little bit heavy-handed, but also because I prefer something more substantial. I was going to say the quality is different. The quality is different. It's a heavier crepe paper, so it's more substantial. So for me, it makes a difference in the outcome of whatever I'm making. So these here, and again, they're very pretty. I liked it when I made it with you know, the crepe paper that I had, but then when I made them with this heavier crepe paper, and some of these are not dry, so I'm still trying to be very delicate. With the heavier crepe paper, I'm going to show you this. I'm going to show you. I came across one or two hiccups as well, so I'm going to show you that. So this is the heavy crepe paper. I can manipulate this and move the wings. I can stretch it. I find that I don't want to stretch it too much because I end up losing some of the original form of the butterfly. So, but I can handle them a lot more easier without worrying about destroying or ripping them. I can't tell you how many of these I've ripped, and I don't have a bunch because every time I make them I'm giving them away. But this paper just, it allows me to manipulate it and shape it and move it with more ease, and I just think that it looks better. I like the way this particular crepe paper looks in comparison to the other crepe paper. But you use what you have, you use what you're comfortable with. I think I always say that's part of crafting. You use what you have and what you're comfortable with. I prefer the heavier weight paper. Now, as I was making the rosettes with the heavier paper and I doubled them up, because this paper is so thick, it's so thick and it's so heavy, as I was sewing them, I wasn't able to close up that center hole as tightly. So that's one of the things. When you make your rosettes, no matter what paper you're using, just make sure that your centers are closed tightly. However, my fix for this, because you can see this one here, see the space, the hole didn't close. My fix for that was to adhere a small circle of paper, and that's going to get covered up later, so I'll show you that. So you start with your rosette. I started with the rosette, and then that center piece, depending, you know, whichever die that you're using, because you can really use whatever die you want, I put that center piece as close to the center of that butterfly as possible, because I don't want it to cut into that center piece and then you have a situation like this. It was starting to come apart. So you center the middle of your rosette as close to the center of the butterfly as possible, and then you just run it through your cutting machine. So these here, my circles weren't closed all the way, so I did add a circle to close up that hole. These were double layered, just to show you, and then these here was a single layer, and even with the single layer, it still comes out like very, I don't, what is the word I'm looking for? So I keep saying substantial, but it's firmer and it's easier to deal with. It's easier to handle. So again, simply you take your rosette, you make your rosette, however you make your rosette, you take the center of that rosette and you align it to the middle of the butterfly, and you run it through your cutting machine. That's pretty much it. That was it. Now for me, of course, afterwards you embellish as much as you want to. So this was one made using this type of crepe paper, and when it comes out, these little pieces have to be removed, like the little intricate pieces of the butterfly. So I just took those out. Now this one is the heavier crepe paper, and again, you know, you have to take those little pieces out. Okay, so now to cover up like the papers, for the ones where I had that gaping hole and I put paper on it, what I did was I peeled away, because I adhered it, you know, in the center, so I peeled off as much of that paper as possible. I just peeled it away. So like I said, once you have your butterfly, your embellishments are up to you, and that's one of the things that I enjoy taking time doing. I like adding the detail And you can see here what I did here was I just used my my alcohol markers that I have, and I just added some, like a variation of color. If you can see the darker color there and there. So I just took my alcohol markers, and I go over that paper there in the center, and I kind of go along the line, go along the with the grain of the paper. And it gives it looks wonky right now, but you'll see in a second. It just gives it a variation of color. And then I took this one, which was a little bit darker, and did the same thing. Just go over it. I'm just trying to cover up, that paper. And I don't want to cover too much, because like I said, the idea for me was that I liked the look of the crepe paper, so I don't want to cover up that look too much. So then this is also part of the die, this little, the center piece, the body. So this is what I did for this centerpiece. I kind of held the head part, and then I just covered the body with glue, and I'm using my art glitter glue. I'm trying to pick it up without making a huge mess. And then I dipped it in this mixture, and this is a mixture of black sand and some glitter. I don't think it's chunky glitter. It might be chunky glitter. I don't know. I really can't remember. I know it's black sand and it's glitter. So that's what I covered the body with. And then I'm just gonna adhere it to the butterfly. And I like using these little silicone, I guess, what do you call it, a silicone brush? Just to try to wipe away some of the glue. So there's that. Then I used stickles, and I'm trying to decide which one I want to use, if I want to use my pink or my gold. Here I used the gold on this one. I think I'm gonna use the pink. And I don't squeeze too hard. I squeeze it out and just kind of drag it along. And again, there's no I have no real method. I'm just, squeezing and kind of dragging it along the pattern of the butterfly, along the pattern of the paper, of the crepe paper. And I do that on both sides. And then the piece of the head that I did not cover with sand, I used the Nouveau crystal drops, and I just do it on that little round piece of the head there. Now, of course, that's the center body. You can do whatever you like. I like this. I like the little sand and the glitter because it just, to me, it makes the body look a little bit more realistic. But here you see I put the little gem stickers. I also like to use seed beads on the center there, and I just think they're super pretty. So on this one, I did also add antenna, and the thinner the wire for me, the better, because to me it just makes it look more delicate and more whimsical. This particular wire that I use is 26 gauge. So, and then here I added the rhinestones. And then on this one, I added a mixture of glass glitter, glass seed beads, and micro beads. And I just added that like on the edges of the wings. And then on this one, I also, get a piece from the other paper. I added rhinestones on this one as well. So that's my project share and the process to how I made these crepe paper butterflies. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're having a great day. God bless, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.